bulletproof, if not DL's entire locomotive fleet, is the 4118. This former Delaware and Hudson unit, built in 1952, arrived on the DL in 1999.
Well, the 4118, the engine's 48 years old, and maybe the total investment in the locomotive is $50,000. I guess if we had to buy a GT38 and a GT38-2, we're probably talking about $285,000 to $325,000. The 4118's doing the job. The boxcars don't care, you know. They don't care what Tulsa. The engine comes back every day. It went out on February 23rd. They're all a little nervous about sending it out. And the general pool service, I mean, the 4118, even though it's 48 years old, doesn't receive any special treatment. It's expected to do its day's work and come back and do it again. I mean, that's, you know, it may look like we're an operating museum, but our engines work. Alcos are fun. They're different. They're a little animated. They're interesting to work on. For a locomotive design of their time, they're a little sophisticated. You have to have a little chutzpah to work on them. And that's not really a bad thing. It's kind of a fun thing. There's one thing I have to say about Alco locomotives, especially today. You know, if you have a comparable EMD or GE, if you have a problem, you have a field service engineer at Erie or LaGrange or the local guys to call them to help you. Alcos, you're on your own. You know, you have to jump in there and you have to learn how they work. You have to make them work. And then it becomes second nature. And, you know, we would run our Alcos head-to-head with any EMD.
The 12-cylinder 244 engine used in Alco's RS3 was introduced in the 1940s. The later 251 series, using the same bore and stroke, superseded these with many improvements in design.
It was a far better engine. The 244 engine gave me trouble, I told you before. Manifolds, cylinder heads, and particularly bearings. But the 251 engine gave next to nothing for trouble.
With the introduction of the 251 engine, Alco changed the design of its four-motor road switcher. This main post RS11 shares the long hood characteristic of Alco road switcher production after 1956. Common spotting features include the car body filters along the top of the hood. The boxy structure hanging down on the sides of the hood, forward of the radiator shutters, is an intercooler radiator. Another distinctive spotting feature are the deep notches in the ends of both hoods. This main post RS11, built in 1956, hasn't changed much externally since it worked for Norfolk and Western and later Central Vermont.
367 is my favorite locomotive. To me, it's the best handling locomotive. Even though it's got the high nose, it's got pretty good visibility, and it's fairly comfortable to operate. It's a smooth riding locomotive.
Two groups of 3 filters on the side of the hood distinguish the RS-36 from the otherwise identical RS-11. Most of the 40 RS-36s built came with lowered short hoods like this Buffalo Southern unit. Unlike later low-hood Century units, Alco notched the RS-36's nose. The RS-18 is a Canadian-only model built by Alco's subsidiary Montreal Locomotive Works in Montreal, Quebec. MLW built both Alco designs and its own designs, often with subtle styling differences. MLW retained the rights to Alco's designs after Alco ceased locomotive production in 1969. 15 years later, MLW built its last locomotives, closing the chapter on Alco and Alco-based production in North America. A distinctive spotting feature of the RS-18 is the shape of its hood ends. The hoods lack the deep notches found on Alco's RS-11 and RS-36. Some RS-18s ride on a lightweight version of the Type B road truck. Despite the design differences, the RS-18, RS-11, and RS-36 share the same horsepower rating, 1,800. We'll visit the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad later in the show. For now, we'd like to point out this attractive RS-18, a former CP rail unit. Originally built in 1958, CP rebuilt it with a chopped low hood and upgraded electrical gear. From the point of view of the railroad, second-generation diesels were those that replaced the units that replaced steam. Alco marked its second generation of diesels with the Century series, introduced in 1963. Designed for improved ease of maintenance, the units boasted improvements to the 251 engine, such as modified fuel pumps and nozzles. To reduce inertial forces, Alco employed an 8-counterweight crankshaft. Hinged doors on both sides of the engine compartment could, when opened, expose the entire side of the diesel engine. That, in turn, made the engine more accessible. At the rear, the radiators were mounted horizontally in the roof. This eliminated air voids and made them self-cleaning. What was different, too, was the look of the Century series. Gone were the notches in the corners of the hoods. Gone, too, was the one-piece windshield, replaced by a two-piece prow windshield over a stubby short hood. Externally, the C424s and C425s are almost identical. Both, for example, lack car body filters, the result of a sealed car body and centralized air system. The main difference is the C425's larger GE generator, which allowed Alco to boost horsepower from 2,400 in the C424 to 2,500 in the C425. With 6 high-horsepower Centuries and one 2,000-horsepower C420 to its name, Livonia, Avon, and Lakeville is no stranger to Alco's Century series. A back-to-back comparison shows the shallow, boxy broadening of the hood in the C425's radiator area, the spotting feature that distinguishes it from the lower horsepower C420.